All right, let's bring in Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Tom, good morning to you. You know, if the death threat wasn't enough, yesterday you had protesters also marching outside Justice Kavanaugh's home, which is in violation of federal law. So why the inaction from Merrick Garland?
You know, this Justice Department under Biden is run by pro-abortion fanatics. So the only conclusion one can draw, I think, is that they support these illegal efforts to intimidate the Supreme Court justices. Remember, this decision hasn't been released yet. So there is still a chance, I think, in their heads that maybe the results can change. And when you get someone like this person who traveled across the country, got out in front of Kavanaugh's home with the intent of killing him, his family, by the way, and Kavanaugh were home at the time, you know, this to me is the natural conclusion or the natural outgrowth of this type of campaign, which is endorsed by the White House. To be clear, the White House does not object to these illegal, illicit intimidation tactics outside the homes of justices. This is deadly serious, could get someone killed. And in the meantime, the Pelosi House refuses to pass a piece of legislation that could expand the security to include the families. I mean, these justices have family members who are covered typically by protective services around the courts. I don't understand. Well, I do understand it.
Yeah.
They like this intimidation, and the leadership of the Democratic Party is in on it. These are dangerous times for our republic. And if I were the Supreme Court, I'd do two things. I'd release the opinion as soon as possible, because if a justice is killed, the opinion could change, and that's an incentive. And then secondly, I would update the American people in the least on the investigation into this criminal leaker, this seditious attack on the court, which is, as I said, you know, Kavanaugh, by the way, I attended those hearings for Kavanaugh. They were violent, they were intimidation, and it involved assaulting members of the Senate staff and others who were attending those hearings. And then we have Schumer threatening the Supreme Court. You know, we're going to get you, he said about Kavanaugh and Gorsuch specifically. And now we have the latest. I've never seen anything like this in my adult life. And our Supreme Court, and that means our republic, is under attack. And I suspect we won't hear much about that tonight,
right,
as the networks
Not at all.
give this unprecedented coverage to those in the House who supposedly are concerned about democracy.
You mentioned Chuck Schumer. Here's his veiled call to action. Listen.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
Tom, is it any wonder that somebody like this would-be assassin would take cues from what they're hearing from Democratic political leadership?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, the Justice Department should have called Schumer before a grand jury over comments like that designed to intimidate the court. This is language that continues to be echoed to this day. Now, Garland, for instance, yesterday is saying, oh, well, you know, we oppose intimidation and violence. Yes, but they allow intimidation that is a violation of the law. When you show up outside a justice's house, you're in violation of federal law. If you're out there to try to affect or a course of action that the court's about to take. So Garland's in on it. Biden's White House has endorsed these types of campaigns, and of course Pelosi and Schumer are in on it as well.
Tom, because
and Pelosi now specifically has an opportunity.
Right.
Go ahead.
You know, because you mentioned the White House. You know, when this draft opinion was leaked, you did have pro-life centers being firebombed, you had churches being vandalized, and you had the addresses of these Supreme Court justices leaked online. So you could really see this coming from a mile away. Some of the justices went into hiding, and when all of this was happening, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked how the president feels about this. And here's what he had to say. Watch this.
We believe, of course, in peaceful protest. So I know that there's an outrage right now, I guess, about protests that have been peaceful to date, and we certainly continue to encourage that outside of judges' homes, and that's the president's position.
So she said they encourage that outside judges' homes, peacefully protesting, but a protest nonetheless.
An illegal protest is not a peaceful protest. It's unlawful. It's necessarily intimidatory. And the Biden White House knows better, but they like the intimidation. I don't know how else one can draw a different conclusion when you see language like that out of the Biden White House, when you have Pelosi sitting on security measures for the Supreme Court. This is an intimidation campaign against the Supreme Court of the United States. We've never seen anything like it in American history. And we've got the Biden White House encouraging it. You have a Schumer encouraging it. You have Pelosi encouraging it. And we almost saw a Supreme Court justice and his family assassinated yesterday, and there's still silence as these intimidation protests continue, even after the assassination campaign.
Well, there was that bill, you mentioned it, that passed in a bipartisan fashion in the Senate back in May to provide additional security for these justices, but it stalled in the House. So hopefully Nancy Pelosi brings it up today, because clearly it is necessary. Tom, thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think, by the way, that Senate bill passed 100-0 or something like that. So it's more than bipartisan. It's super bipartisan.
Super bipartisan. Tom, thank you.